nakalimutan na ng karamihan, no? I like to emphasize that the bile is manufactured by the liver. So, therefore, the liver performs secretory function. And what liver secretes, what liver manufactures is the bile. So the bile is a greenish solution or a material, no, fluid, which is produced by the liver. And this is stored in the gallbladder. So as you can see, yung kulay green dyan, on the right image, yun yung gallbladder, which is the storage of the bile. All right. Now, the bile is composed of cholesterol, bile salt, and bile acid. It is composed of cholesterol, bile salt, and bile acid. So I know that many are health conscious. Now nowadays, many individuals are becoming health conscious, so they avoid fatty meal, and many resorted to vegetables or vegetarian diet. No, pero you have to understand that um, lipid like cholesterol is also needed by the body. So let us not avoid totally fats kasi cholesterol is needed. No, in this case, I said that cholesterol is a component of the bile. All right. Now, in addition to that, the cholesterol in our previous discussion, no, I emphasized that even the cell membrane is composed of mga cholesterol, no, and also integral proteins. So, kailangan din natin ng taba, no, lipids like cholesterol in small amount. We need them because of the reason that some of the organ structures and cell structures no, are composed of cholesterol. Now, question is what will happen if a person undergoes an operation where there is surgical removal of the gallbladder? So, what will happen if the gallbladder is removed through surgery? Can a person still take in fatty meal? Pwede pa ba kayong kumain ng chicharong bulaklak? Pwede pa ba kayong kumain ng mga fatty meal even though your gallbladder has been removed through cholecystectomy? Alright? So the surgical removal of the gallbladder is cholecystectomy. C-H-O-L-E. Cholecystectomy. C-Y-S. Okay? Cystectomy. C-Y-S-T-E-C-T-O-M-Y. Cystectomy. Alright. So that's the surgical removal of the gallbladder. The question that I asked a while ago, no, is can you still eat fatty milk even though your gallbladder has been removed? Pwede pa ba? Or totally bawal ka nang kumain ng mataba? Okay, the answer is yes, of course, no? You can still eat fatty meal. Anyway, it's um the role of the liver is to manufacture the bile, and it is the bile which emulsifies fats. So the fats in the meal, in the gut content, no, is emulsified or digested with the aid of the bile. Though you don't have any more, though the person doesn't have any more the gallbladder, but still the liver can still secrete bile. All right, so ang role lang naman ng gallbladder is storage. Okay. Now sometimes, no, the gallbladder, no, has a stone. All right. So you have cholelithiasis. Okay. So in that case, no, there is obstruction in the gallbladder, in the common bile duct, and that also would lead to jaundice or yellow discoloration. Next slide, we have. Okay, ayan. All right. As you can see here, now in the image also, you have the vein, the blue one, and you have the red one which is the artery that supplies blood to the liver. All right, the vein drains blood from the liver. So all the metabolites or the toxins that are produced in the liver, they will now carry out from the liver to the circulation via the vein and the inferior vena. All right, now, let's go to the next slide. Now you are seeing a microscopic anatomy or an illustration depicting the components of the liver. Right. So as you can see there, you see that the liver is highly vascularized. Liver is highly vascularized. Ano ibig sabihin no? No, kita natin dyan na dami niyang mga blood vessels. Alright? The blue is the vein. Alright? Then you have red artery. And the green, you also see another vessel there. Alright? It's like a tubule, no? A network of tubule. That big green tubule there is that is your bile duct. Alright? And you see that the bile duct, no, later on it narrows down, no, and it branches into the andyan, nakikita niyo yung mga bile canaliculi. Alright? The bile, yung mga maliliit na ugat na kulay green, those are the bile canaliculi. And I think you know what canaliculi are. They are small canals. Alright? And they are attached onto the the liver cell. Okay? So nakadikit sila doon sa hepatocyte or liver cell. Ayan, nakikita nyo yung mga square-square dyan. Those are hepatocytes. And in terms of the tissue type, they are epithelial tissues. No, they are squamous epithelial tissues. All right. All right. Now, so the liver cells in the image manufacture the bile. And the bile that has been made by each liver cell in that image, no, yan, nakikita natin, the bile is collected by it passes through the canaliculi and goes to the bile duct, all right, and is stored in the gallbladder. So when we eat a fatty meal, the bile from the gallbladder is secreted or excreted, and that will now go to the intestine so that the fats in the diet will be emulsified. Okay? So that's for the yun ang physiologic role ng bile. So every time we eat a fatty meal, the fats in the diet is emulsified para hindi siya magkaroon ng steatorrhea, a condition when fats float in the stool, steatorrhea. All right. Now, tingnan na yun natin yung all right, we now go to the next slide, please. Pakipunta naman. Okay, now we have here the summary of the functions performed by the liver. Functions performed by the liver. Okay, so you see that you have there the metabolism. The major function of the liver is metabolism, and metabolism can be anabolism or catabolism. The synthesis of simple compounds and into complex material. So from simple to complex, simple molecules joined together to form complex compounds. We call that anabolism. And the reverse is catabolism. Now, I like you to remember this. The major function is the liver is metabolic function. And specifically, ito ay yung anabolism. So liver cell synthesizes macromolecules that are vital for life. See, these vital macromolecules are the carbohydrates, CHO, and proteins also, CHON. All right. So almost all the proteins that our body needs. No? They are manufactured in the liver. So, andun yung anabolic function or synthetic function. Now, enzymes are basically proteins. So, all the enzymes that our body needs for metabolic activities, biochemical reactions, no, they are all produced in the liver. So, therefore, no, example, kunwari, meron kang problem in the liver, you cannot produce, therefore, some of the important enzymes like cholinesterase. So the cholinesterase, which is an enzyme, will be will be produced in low amount, no, in case you have liver impairment. All right? Kasi pinapakita diyan yung synthetic function of the liver. In addition to these two macromolecules, the lipids are also produced in the liver. Kaya meron tayo ng tinatawag na liver synthesized lipids. Kung naalala nyo, hindi ba meron tayong chylomicron, transporter siya ng exogenous triglycerides. And then meron din naman tayo na endogenous triglycerides, which means that ito yung fats that are produced in the liver. Kaya tawag sa kanya endogenous triglycerides. Triglycerides produced in the liver. All right? So yun yun, no? And this one is transported by the VLDL. Alam niyo yan, no? So many of the lipoproteins, protein yan, transporter siya ng lipid, and the lipid, which is fat transported by lipoprotein, all of this, no, they are all manufactured or synthesized in the liver. So if you have anabolic function, the liver also has, no, to perform catabolic function. So the opposite of anabolism is catabolism. So this is the breakdown of complex compounds to simple, okay, products. For instance, no, kunwari, you have polysaccharides, no? So you have polypeptides. When they are broken, all right, no, then that's a process called catabolism. All right. So many drugs, when they enter the body, no, especially when drugs are taken in via the mouth or via the GIT, the drugs have to pass through the liver for catabolism. Alright? Ang tawag doon yung first pass hepatic. No? Na all drugs that are orally taken, they will undergo the so-called first pass hepatic. Mamamasyal muna yan sa liver. No? In the liver, there will be the catabolism of drugs. Alright? And when drugs are catabolized, then the waste product of drug catabolism, ang tawag doon ay drug metabolites. They will go to the kidney so that the kidney will excrete them. Okay, so oftentimes, pag inom mo ng antibiotics, minsan ang ihi mo amoy gamot. Ibig sabihin, yung drug metabolites nandun na sa ihi. No? Dumaan na yan sa liver. Kasi kung hindi yan dadaan sa liver, hindi mo yan maiihi. Okay? The drugs, no, for them, the metabolites of drugs, for them to be excreted out of the body, they have to be made soluble. So to make to make the metabolites of drugs soluble, kailangan niya ng tinatawag na conjugation. And that brings us to the third bullet, conjugation. So drugs, they have to be conjugated to glucuronic acid or glucuronide for them to be excreted in the urine. Because if drugs are not bound to glucuronide, then drugs remain to be water insoluble, and so you cannot excrete them. The same thing happens for bilirubin. which is the end product of hemoglobin catabolism. So when the red cell undergoes lysis, hemoglobin is released. When hemoglobin is released, then it will now undergo, all right, a catabolic process. So magpuproduce siya ng bilirubin 1. And this is something which is water insoluble. Therefore, no, in order to circulate in the blood, it has to bind with albumin. All right? So B1 or bilirubin 1, when not bound to albumin, B1 cannot circulate. So para makacirculate ang bilirubin 1, kailangan ng transporter. And that transporter is an albumin. All right. Now the moment no, the B1 is ready to enter the liver, all right, the albumin has to cleave no, from the drug or from the B1. So kailangan humiwalay si B1 from the albumin before B1 is permitted to enter the liver. So once you have the B1 in the liver, it will now be conjugated. Pag sinabing conjugated, didikitan ng glucuronide or glucuronic acid. So now the bilirubin 1 is conjugated. Alright? And that is what we call the B2. Kung mukha ng sinabi ko kanina, in order for drug, in order for the bilirubin to be excreted in the urine, then it has to be bound to glucuronide. Just sandali, I need to take this call. All right, class, let us resume. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. All right. So we're done with the anabolic function, no? Tsaka catabolic. Tapos storage, yun na nga yung ayan, um glycogen, no? Glycogen is the storage form of glucose. So when you eat extra carbohydrate, the glucose in excess will be stored in the liver in the form of glycogen. Also, when we take vitamins in excess, no, and minerals in excess, the excess vitamins and minerals will be stored in the liver. Kaya class, hindi rin maganda, no, na sobra-sobra ang iniinom nyo na vitamins. Kung nagka-take na kayo ng multivitamins, huwag na kayo mag-take pa ng hiwa-hiwalay na mga mineral or hiwa-hiwalay na vitamins. No? Because that would add a load to your liver, that those vitamins are considered to be drugs, and so they have to be catabolized also. So you are putting additional load to your liver when you take too much vitamins or supplements. Okay. Now, the next function, as I was describing, before I take the call, is yung conjugation function. So again, yung B1, no, add conjugated to glucuronide. So now it becomes B2. Similarly, when drug is conjugated to glucuronide, now it is readily excreted because it's water soluble this time. The next function there is detoxification, as exemplified by ammonia. So once urea, okay, once ammonia rather, enters the liver, this toxic compound will now be detoxified into a non-toxic form, which is the urea. So remember, no, tinanong ko na yata yan sa exam ninyo nung nakaraan, no, the ammonia is neurotoxic, and this is produced in the intestine. Now, in order to convert this one into a non-toxic form, it has to pass through the liver where the toxification takes place. So in the liver, the ammonia binds to carbon dioxide or carbonate, and then form the urea. So urea is then excreted in the kidney. No? And we know that urea is the major end product of protein catabolism. It's the major organic metabolite in the urine. It is also the first metabolite to increase in kidney disease. So kapag ang isang tao nagsisimula ng masira ang kidney niya, ang unang tataas na parameter sa dugo ay yung urea. Alright? Followed by tataas na rin ang creatinine, and sometimes tataas na rin ang uric acid. Okay? So you would notice, no, when doctor suspects that your relative has kidney impairment, ang unang nire-request niya urea. Alright? And pag medyo matanda ang pasyente, creatinine ang minomonitor doon. Although these two tests can be requested at the same time. All right. Now, the secretion and excretion function was already discussed. Ito nga yung bile. So, the liver synthesizes bile, and this is excreted in the gallbladder. And whenever we eat a fatty meal, the bile from gallbladder is released. It goes to the intestine for emulsification of fatty meal fats. Now, the liver also performs immunologic function as demonstrated by a specialized macrophage. In the in the liver, you have specialized macrophage known as Kupffer cells. Okay? So, yan ay yung pangalan ng macrophage, specifically found in the liver. Okay, in the liver, the sinusoids. Um, can you please go to the next slide, Miguel? Thank you. Now let's trace the bilirubin synthesis or metabolism. Go to the next slide, please. All right. So please try to understand this image. No? Try to understand this image. Okay, we'll begin with the blood vessel on top. Meron kang blood vessel doon sa taas, yung kulay salmon pink ba yan or anong kulay ba yan? Parang pinkish, no? So in the blood vessel, you have, okay, hemolysis happening. And even outside the blood vessel, hemolysis may also take place. Now, why is hemolysis a inevitable um, process? Kasi ang red cell ay may lifespan lang na 120 days. So the red cell can only live for within 120 days. All right? So on the 120th day, the cell membrane of the red cell is out is altered. Nagiging more permeable na siya sa water, no? So water enters freely the red cell stroma. So pag pumasok ang water sa red cell, yung dati na discocyte, you know that the red cell is a biconcave disc, no? Malalim yung dalawang biconcave, dalawang depression on the surface and at the bottom. So once water freely enters, the red cell becomes spherocyte. Para na siyang bola. Mawawala na yung depression. Mawawala na yung concavities niya. So now you have a spherocyte. Now the spherocyte is like a ball. No? Yung red cell mo, naging malabola na. So the membrane is stretched to the fullest. Now, as it passes through the capillary, ang laki na ng red cell mo dahil pumapasok na freely ang water. Now, as the red cell passes the capillary, the red cell may undergo lysis, puputok, all right? Because the membrane becomes thinner and thinner as water enters the red cell stroma. So as the red cell lysed, all right, the hemoglobin comes out. So nandun siya dun sa blood vessel. So you would know that there is increased lysis of the red cell when you get the blood sample and when you allow it to clot. All right, and you see parang yung serum ay reddish or pinkish. Ibig sabihin nun ay hemolysis. So that's a crude way of checking for hemoglobin in the serum or in the plasma. You just let the blood clot. You look at the serum, and when you see that there is a red or pinkish tinge, ibig sabihin pumutok ang red cell, may hemolysis. So that condition is known as what? What do you call that condition, Alisa? When you see a pink or red coloration on the serum or plasma. Alisa, ano tawag mo doon?
Ma'am, ako po,
Yeah, Alisa? Sino yung sumasagot?
Eliza po,
Liza go?
may hemolysis po siya, ma'am.
Yeah, there's hemolysis. And what do you call the condition when there is hemolysis, massive hemolysis in the blood circulation? And now you are seeing hemoglobin, free hemoglobin in the blood or in the plasma. What do you call that condition?
Yung hemolytic anemia po, ma'am.
Yes, that's hemolytic anemia, but we call that condition hemoglobinemia. Hemoglobinemia is the presence of hemoglobin in the blood, in the plasma or in the serum. And that one is a consequence of tama ka doon ay sa hemolytic anemia. Pwede mangyari yun. Alright, now. So now you have the hemoglobin in the blood. Alright, what will happen to the hemoglobin? The hemoglobin now is metabolized. Components, heme and globin will now separate. So the heme, you have the protoporphyrin ring and iron. Diba? Pag sinabi heme, That's protoporphyrin and iron. And then you have the globin. The globin is recycled because it is a protein. So it has to be recycled. It will be used again in making proteins. Now, what will happen to the heme part of that hemoglobin? The heme further splits into protoporphyrin and iron. Princess, wala si Princess. I asked um, another student, what is the form of iron in the heme? What is the iron in the heme? Is it a ferrous iron or a ferric form of iron? Okay. So, yung hemoglobin, naghiwalay yung heme sa globin. Globin, marirecycle uli. Si heme ay may iron at may protoporphyrin. What form of iron do you have in the in the hemoglobin, in the heme part, Samantha? Okay, go ahead, Kate. Kate Sayrin.
Ma'am, ano po, ferrous po.
All right, so that's your ferrous iron. Okay, ferrous iron yun, no? Ferrous form. Okay? Now, that would also be recycled. Kailangan mo rin uli yan gamitin sa erythropoiesis, no? Kaya hindi tatapon sa urine. All right? So, what remains is the protoporphyrin. Diyan sa protoporphyrin na yan, nanggagaling ang B1. Alright? Balikan yung pakibalik uli, Miguel. Ayan, thank you, Miguel. So, therefore, ang natira na lang ay yung protoporphyrin. Si protoporphyrin magiging bilirubin 1. Okay? So, siya yung bilirubin 1. And a while ago, I told you that bilirubin 1 needs a transporter in the blood. Kailangan para siya mag-circulate ang B1, kailangan may transport protein siya. Alright? May I ask you, what is the transporter of bilirubin 1 in the blood? Anyone? Yes, Eliza Rivera. Alicia.
Albumin po.
Albumin. Alright, very good, no? So, it needs an albumin. So, bilirubin 1 has to bind to an albumin so that it can circulate. Now, the binding between bilirubin 1 and albumin is a weak band. So, it easily detaches from the B1. The albumin easily detaches from the B1. No? Kasi nga, weak band lang yung binding doon. No? So, that's a kind of a weak band or weak link. But there's another type of bilirubin whose attachment to albumin is very, very strong. So, covalently bound to the albumin. Sobrang dikit niya sa albumin. May I know what kind of bilirubin am I referring to? B1 pa din ba yun? Anyone? What do you call the bilirubin type which is strongly attached or covalently bonded with albumin? Anyone? We call that yes. Someone is raising her hand. Grace. Go ahead, Grace.
Delta bilirubin po.
Okay, correct. We call it the delta bilirubin. So, we now compare B1 and delta bilirubin, ha? So, doon muna tayo sa similarity. Both are transported by albumin. B1 is loosely bound while delta bilirubin is covalently bound to albumin. Now, nandun na ngayon siya sa blood circulation. Now, the B1, when present in very, very high amount, it is toxic also, like ammonia. B1 is also neurotoxic like ammonia when present in very high amount. So, kailangan na ngayon na siya ay i-convert into a non-toxic form. So one way to convert it into a non-toxic form is it has to pass through the liver. Remember, I told you that the role of the liver, aside from synthetic function and catabolic function, one vital role of the liver is detoxification and conjugation. So yung B1, which is very, very toxic in high amount, is will now be detoxified. How? How is B1 detoxified? May I ask? Sige nga, sino ang pwedeng sumagot? How is B1 detoxified? I want volunteer. Wala? Paano na detoxify ang B1? Toxic yan, di ba? Kapag sobrang taas, no? Um, that may go to the brain and be deposited on the fats in the lipid component of the brain, leading to mental retardation. So that the term there is kernicterus. Mental retardation attributed to the deposition of B1 in the fatty tissue of the brain is called kernicterus, kind of mental retardation. Usually yan, nakikita mo yan sa hemolytic disease of the newborn. Nagkakaganyan sila, no? Nagkakaroon ng kernicterus ang mga neonates with hemolytic disease of the newborn due to Rh incompatibility. So can someone please answer the question that I asked a while ago? How can the liver detoxify B1? Baka kayo nakikinig, kayo na ko pa sinabi yun. Yes, Maria. Joanna.
If magpa-pass through po siya sa liver, kailangan
Kaya
niya
nga
po
how?
mag-pass through.
Oo, kaya nga how? Why is it that when B1 passes the liver, no, pass through the liver, it will now be detoxified? How? Samantha, thank you for your answer, Joanna. Samantha, what about you?
Because it will bind with glucuronic acid po in the liver, converting it to conjugated bilirubin po.
Okay, very good, no? Kasi when the B1 enters the liver, it will be converted to a non-toxic B2. So how can this be converted to a non-toxic B2? The answer, it binds to glucuronic acid, as mentioned by Sam, no? It binds to glucuronic acid or glucuronide. And now that it is already conjugated, it is non-toxic. So pag tinanong kayo, how is B1 converted to B2? And how is B1 na toxic becomes non-toxic? So ang sagot doon, conjugation. So the B1 will be conjugated to a glucuronide or glucuronic acid. So when it is already bound to a glucuronide, then it's non-toxic this time. Now, ang tanong, di ba ang B1 nakadikit sa albumin? Can this B1 bound to albumin be permitted to enter the liver? Can B1 bound to albumin, loosely bound to albumin, be accommodated, no, be allowed to enter the liver? Clarissa? Okay, okay. Oh, sumagot naman yung marami. No, hindi pwedeng pumasok ng may kadikit na albumin. So, albumin is off limit, therefore. So, albumin has to cleave from B1 or from the unconjugated bilirubin. Ayan, kita nyo sa screen. So, now the unconjugated bilirubin or B1 is free. And now, it enters the liver. Yung kulay yellow sa illustration, liver cell na yan, no? Hepatocyte na yan. So now the B1 not bound to albumin is already inside the liver cell in the hepatocyte. Now, this B1 has to be transported with the Z protein or ligandine. No, it will be transported inside the liver cell by a ligandine or Z protein. And later on, through the help of an enzyme, glucuronate transferase, the glucuronide will reach to the B1 and now it becomes B2. May I repeat? May I ask again? What is the name of the enzyme that will add glucuronic acid to B1 so that it becomes B2? Sige nga. Ano yung enzyme na yon, Razel?
Glucuronil
Razel, go ahead.
transferase po.
Okay, glucuronil transferase. Okay, now, meron tayong tinatawag na isang klase or uri ng jaundice, no? When you say jaundice is the yellow discoloration of the skin, the yellow discoloration of the sclera of the eyes. Naninilaw yung mata, madilaw yung balat, madilaw yung mucous membrane, alright? So, madilaw, no? And we call that jaundice. Other name, we call it icteric, no? We describe it like icteric or ictericia. Now, the technical term for jaundice is, anyone? Can someone tell me? What is another synonym or synonymous term for jaundice, which is also equivalent to ictericia or jaundice? Ano yon? Anyone? Tawag doon ay hyperbilirubinemia. Hyperbilirubinemia. So, the moment a person's eyes become yellow, that already denotes there is hyperbilirubinemia. And hyperbilirubinemia is a condition when the bilirubin concentration in the blood has exceeded 2.5 milligram per deciliter. So, yun ang cut-off, 2.5 milligram per deciliter. Kapag sumobra siya doon, kunwari naging 2.73 milligram per deciliter, makikita mo na maninilaw na yung pasyente. Maninilaw na yung balat, maninilaw na yung mucous membrane, maninilaw na yung mata. Okay? So we call that hyperbilirubinemia or jaundice. Okay, now, so your balikan ng kwento, yung B1 naging B2 na. So, yung physiologic jaundice na sinasabi ko, neonates or newborns, usually they don't have yet glucuronil transferase enzyme. So, ang mga batang bagong panganak, wala pa silang glucuronil transferase enzyme. That is why when the neonate is born or delivered, kita mo madilaw sila, no? Kadalasan ng mga batang pinapanganak, bagong panganak, ay madilaw or jaundice. And what is again the reason? Clarissa, is physiologic? What is the rationale behind physiologic jaundice or the yellow discoloration in neonate? Anong dahilan nga nun? Uli, Kevin?
Hello po, ma'am. Kevin po.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay. It's called physiologic jaundice po because po the neonates do not have yet the enzyme necessary po for
Or
conjugation of bilirubin.
Okay, very good, no? The liver of the neonate does not manufacture yet glucuronil transferase enzyme. And so they cannot convert B1 to B2. And as a result, the B1 accumulates in the blood in high level, kaya magkakaroon ng hyperbilirubinemia, maninilaw na tuloy yung bata. Okay? So there is a remedy to that. So what is the remedy to hyperbilirubinemia or jaundice, physiologic jaundice in neonate? We call it phototherapy. Phototherapy. All right. So papaarawan tuwing umaga yung baby, no? So you notice that no the older people would say, "Oh, yung bata pag umaga, paarawan mo yan para tumibay ang buto, para siya maalis ang paninilaw." So why? What's the effect of ultraviolet radiation or the light radiation on the B1? There will be photooxidation. We call that phototherapy. Now, in the hospital, let's say the child is diagnosed to have erythroblastosis fetalis, a condition when the red cells are bursting excessively. Nagpuputukan ang red cell in the circulation. Now the child has difficulty breathing, hirap huminga kasi pumutok ang mga red cell niya. Massive breakdown of red cell as a result of RH incompatibility. Kunwari, RH positive yung baby, yung red cell, pero yung nanay ay may anti-RH antibody na na-develop, and that would now cause the lysis or breakdown of the fetal red cells. So, ang dami ngayong naglabas ng hemoglobin. And when hemoglobin is released, yun nga, hemoglobin maghihiwalay, si globin marirecycle, si heme mabe-break into iron and protoporphyrin, si iron marirecycle uli, si protoporphyrin magiging B1. Alright? Ganun yung kwento, no? Di ba? So, in physiologic jaundice, no, manilaw yung bata kasi sa B1. Alright? So, phototherapy, in the hospital, syempre, hindi mo pwedeng paarawan no, bagong panganak yung baby. Nasa NICU nga yung iba dyan. Alright? So, ang ginagawa ay nilalagay sila sa incubator, tinatapatan ng bombilya. Wala, di ba, may bombilya ang incubator no, ng baby. So, parang walang iniwan doon sa mga sisiw na ini-incubate, no? Una muna ay balot, okay, peno yung gano'n, tapos magiging balot, tapos lalabas na yung sisiw kasi naiinitan ng bulb. Ganun din ang principle ng phototherapy. Alright? There will be photooxidation. Once the bilirubin is exposed to light, there will be photooxidation. So B1 disappears. Therefore, ano ang paninilaw ng bata? We call it physiologic jaundice. Okay? So na yung PowerPoint na wala. Do you still see this PowerPoint? Nawala? Can the PowerPoint? Alright. Pakibalik niya ang PowerPoint iyo. Sino ba yung project kanina? Hello? Ako, nakikita niyo ba yung screen, yung PowerPoint? Ba't ako hindi ko nakikita? Nasaan yung PowerPoint? Saan na ba? Wait lang ha, wala na ako. Alright. So, what happened now? The B1 naging B2 na. Okay, yung normal scenario, B1 naging B2. Then, what happened now? Kesha, can you narrate what happened to B2 this time? It's already bound to glucuronide. So what happened now?
It can be converted to bile po, tapos mapupunta siya sa small intestine, and then may mga parang bacteria po doon na i-convert yung conjugated bilirubin into urobilinogen po.
And then?
And then yung urobilinogen po, pwede siyang mapunta sa, can be stored, tapos mako-convert siya into stercobilin po, parang mapupunta sa feces. Tapos yung remaining 10% po is pupunta sa portal vein.
Babalik ulit doon sa portal vein. Oo, yung 10%. And then?
Magta-travel po dun sa blood, tapos sa kidney, hanggang sa ma-convert into urobilin po. Tapos ayan na po yun. Ma-excrete
Okay,
po siya.
that is what. Okay, very good, no? That's why our urine and our feces, no, they are both colored yellow and brown. Diba? Urine is yellow, but the more bilirubin you have in the urine, no, the more it becomes amber. Nagiging very, very dark yellow na siya. Di ba? Ibig sabihin, ang taas-taas na ng urobilin mo doon. Okay? The urobilin is the yellow pigment in the urine. Urobilin. Now, in the stool naman, you have there sabi nila stercobilinogen, stercobilin, or urobilinogen. Alright? So these are the pigments that are present in the stool, and they are responsible for the brown color of the stool. Alright. Now, let's talk about the types of jaundice. Ano ba yung types ng jaundice? Now, we go to the next slide. What are the types of jaundice? Punta ka na. Next slide. Wala ka ba dyan types ng jaundice? Let's characterize muna. Ay, wala. Balik ka na lang na, iyo. Balik ka na. Ayan. B1, okay. Alright. B1, it is known for several names like indirect bilirubin, alright, unconjugated. I think you know why it's called unconjugated. Kasi nga, wala siyang kadikit ng glucuronide. Okay, the fact that it is not bound to glucuronide, therefore it is water insoluble. Magiging water soluble lang yan kapag nakadikit yan sa glucuronide. However, this one is alcohol soluble. That is why when you are measuring B1, gumagamit kayo ng methanol. Kaya naglalagay kayo ng methanol. And the purpose of adding methanol is for B1 to separate from albumin. Remember, it's loosely bound to albumin. With the help of alcohol, B1 detaches from the albumin. And now that it is free, B1, it can now react with the color developer in the Evelyn-Malloy test. No? And that is the diazotized sulfonilic acid. Do not forget the reagent in bilirubin assay, diazotized sulfonilic acid. Now, the reaction associated with bilirubin is ito yung Vandenberg reaction or Ehrlich reaction. The Vandenberg reaction or Ehrlich reaction is the reaction between bilirubin and diazotized sulfonilic acid. Can you still recall the Fieron reaction? Saan nga yung Fieron, Kesha? Saan nga yung Fieron reaction? Kesha? Anyone? I mentioned Fieron in your kidney when we were discussing kidney function. Yes, Kate? Kate,
Ma'am, test po siya for urea.
so it's a direct test for urea. Diba? Urea plus diacetylmenoxime equals yellow diazine complex. So it's a direct measure of urea. Very good, no? O ito naman, may bago na naman kayong reaction na tatandaan, no? The name of the reaction associated with bilirubin is Vandenberg. Vandenberg. Okay? It's the reaction between bilirubin and diazotized sulfonilic acid forming the, forming the end product, no? Okay? Which may be seen by changing color. So purple if the method is Evelyn Malloy. Gendrasik crop and color, however, is blue. Later, you will see a table there comparing the two tests for bilirubin. All right. Why is B1 not excreted in urine? Why is B1 not detectable in urine? Anyone? Why is B1 not detectable in the urine? Yes, Kevin?
Ma'am, is it because what it is bounded to albumin po, which is which is filtered po in the which is not filtered po by the kidneys po.
No. What is the
Okay po.
reason why it's not? Thank you for your answer anyway. Okay, bakit, Razel?
Kasi
Bakit
po
siya,
nako-conjugate po siya into B2. And yung B2 po yung lumalabas sa kidney.
kasi water insoluble siya. Kasi hindi siya nakadikit sa glucuronide. At dahil hindi siya nakadikit sa glucuronide, hindi yan madedetect sa urine. Hindi yan tatapon sa ihi. Kasi ang urine ay basically aqueous. Water yan eh. So, paano pupunta ang B1 doon kung water insoluble nga siya? Diba? Kaya nga para mo siya ma-excrete sa ihi at maitapon, kailangan dumikit siya sa glucuronide. Only then it can be excreted in urine kasi naging water soluble na siya kapag nakadikit na siya sa urine ay sa glucuronide. Alright? Now, this one, I told you, is toxic in high amount in the blood because this one has high affinity with lipids in the brain, producing a condition called kernicterus. It's a kind of mental retardation associated with neonates who are suffering from RH incompatibility or erythroblastosis fetalis. Now, yung bang erythroblastosis fetalis, nakikita lang yan sa RH incompatibility. Name the condition that will bring about kernicterus. Anong kondisyon, anong incompatibility ng blood type ang pwedeng magkaroon ng anak na madilaw at may mental retardation? Ano ang situation? Ano ang kondisyon? Kailangan ang mother are RH negative, the father or spouse are RH positive, and the child is expected to be RH positive just like the father. Those are the conditions required for HEN to develop. And another condition na nakalimutan magpitin, second pregnancy yan. Kasi kung yan ay first pregnancy, mothers are RH negative, father is RH positive, and the child is RH positive, wala pang kernicterus, wala pang HEN yan. Kasi mag-develop lang ng RH antigen. Kailangan muna siyang ma-expose sa RH antigen. And that exposure happens on the delivery of the first child. So sa first child, wala pang antibody ang anay. Pwede kumakit sa RH antigen na sa bata. So, maliwanag scenario na condition in order to have HN. One, mother RH negative, no antibody yet. No antibody for RH yet. Father is RH positive, the child is RH positive, and first pregnancy. Okay? Pagka yung first, second pregnancy dapat. Okay? Second pregnancy lang dapat. Now, this B1 is usually indicative of hemolytic or hepatocellular jaundice. Hemolytic or prehepatic jaundice. No? And also in the case of hepatocellular jaundice. So ang jaundice or ang paninilaw, again, may I know the other name of jaundice? What's the technical term for jaundice that I mentioned a while ago? Nicole? Yes, Therese. Ano nga yung technical term for jaundice?
Hyperbilirubinemia po.
Okay, very good. No? Thank you. So hyperbilirubinemia, there are 3 types. Jaundice has 3 types. Okay, we have the prehepatic, hepatic, and posthepatic. All right? Or prehepatic jaundice is hemolytic jaundice. And then hepatocellular is hepatic jaundice. And post-hepatic, ito yung obstructive jaundice. Alright, so ulit, B1 ay hemolytic jaundice ay prehepatic ang other name. Prehepatic jaundice. Hepatocellular, ito yung hepatic jaundice. Then post-hepatic jaundice is obstructive jaundice. Alright? So ang mataas sa hemolytic jaundice as a result of continuous breakdown of the red cell or massive destruction of the red cell, ang mataas doon ay B1. The first bilirubin pigment produced from the lysis of the red cell. Next slide, please. Miguel, paki-move mo. O, B2 naman. O, sabi natin, ito yung, bakit siya direct? Bakit ang B1 indirect? Bakit ang B2 direct bilirubin? Okay? Anong pinanggalingan nung direct at indirect na term na yan? Anyone? Miguel, can you explain? Miguel, can you
Yes
explain?
po. Indirect po yung B1 kasi galing po sa red cell, while yung B2 po is galing mismo sa liver po.
Ay, hindi. Pag sinabing direct bilirubin and indirect bilirubin, it has something to do with the reaction with the colored reagent. Direct bilirubin means it readily forms the end color with the reagent. Direct reaction. So yung adjective na direct and indirect, yun ay referring to the reaction with the reaction rate with the reagent. So within a minute, the moment the moment B2 encounters diazotyl sulfonylic acid, no, the moment B2 in the serum, no, reacts with the diazotyl sulfonylic acid in the Evelyn Malloy or Kendra-Sick Croft, yan ay mag-form kaagad ng purple or blue color immediately in a matter of 1 minute. Kaya 1 minute bilirubin siya. Kaya direct bilirubin ang tawag doon. Naintindihan, Miguel? Now, bakit naman indirect ang B2? Because it takes 30 minutes all in all to see the reaction. Kaya ito yung 30-minute bilirubin eh. Yung 1 minute mo, yun yung B2. Bakit ang tagal ng reaction? Bakit may 30-minute incubation dyan? Kasi within that span of 30 minutes, the B1 detaches from albumin. We all know that bilirubin 1 is bound to albumin. And we all know that B1 cannot form color with the reagent if it is bound to albumin. So it has to be separated first from the albumin. And the separation, we call that process dissociation. Pag naghiwalay si bilirubin 1 kay albumin, ang tawag doon dissociation. That is why in B1 measurement, we need a dissociating agent. So it's important that you recall the dissociating agent. In Evelyn Malloy method or test, the dissociating agent is a 50% methanol. Okay, what is the dissociating agent in Gendrasic Grub? Nicole. Ay, sino ba yon? What is the dissociating agent in Gendrasic Grub? Yes, Alicia.
Caffeine sodium benzoate po.
Caffeine, sodium benzoate. Huwag niyong kalimutan yan. Importante yan, ha? So, kailangan mo nang ihiwalay si albumin sa B1. Kasi only then, it can form color with diazotyl sulfonylic acid. Okay? Kaya 30 minutes yon kasi kailangan mo na nilang paghiwalayin. Paghiwalay na, tsaka mo magpo-form na ng color. Alright? Now, B2 is conjugated because it is already bound to glucuronide. Now, the fact that it is bound to glucuronide, edi water-soluble na siya. And so, it can be excreted in the urine. Alright? Now, saan tumataas ang B2? When there is obstructive jaundice. When there is obstruction in the common bile duct. Alright? Pwede kang manilaw kasi merong nakabarang stone in the gallbladder. So, hindi ngayon makalabas yung bile. Alright? So, nandun lang siya, nagre-regurgitate yung bile, bumabalik, nagba-backflow yan sa circulation, kaya tataas na naman uli siya sa circulation ng B2 mo. At nagko-cause yan ng yellow discoloration. Alright? So, kapag namadilaw ka, na ang dahilan ay dahil sa high B2, ang dahilan nun, ang cause nun ay may bara sa common bile duct mo. Pero pag ikaw ay madilaw at ang mataas sa iyo ay B1, kasi nagpuputukan ang red cell mo, yun ang cause nun. When both B1 and B2 are elevated in the serum or plasma, it is already indicative of injured liver cell. So meron ka ng direct liver cell injury when your B1 and B2 are both increased. And because the liver cells are now damaged, no, both B1 and B2 no, are elevated in the blood. So lalo kang madilaw dyan. Okay? Now, I already mentioned to you delta bilirubin. So this is the bilirubin strongly attached to albumin. And the binding cannot be, is irreversible. Hindi na yan mapapaghiwalay. While this is covalently bound to albumin, no? However, this reacts readily with the reagent. So the delta bilirubin shares property intermediate between B1 and B2. Okay? Next slide, please. Sa Irene, Miguel, o yan. So ito yung matrix, no, comparing the prehepatic, hepatic, and posthepatic jaundice using different parameters. O tingnan nyo yung B1. Saan mataas ang B1? Hindi ba sa prehepatic at saka sa hepatic? Normal siya sa posthepatic. What about B2? Saan siya mataas? Andun sa hepatic at saka sa posthepatic. Normal siya sa prehepatic. Now you look at urine bilirubin. The urine bilirubin is increased in post-hepatic. Urine bilirubin is increased in post-hepatic and also in hepatic then. Urine urobilinogen naman is increased in pre-hepatic. So kapag ang mataas sa urine ay urobilinogen, pre-hepatic yan. Or pwede ring hepatic. Pero pag ang mataas sa urine ay bilirubin mismo, then that means post-hepatic and also hepatic jaundice. Huwag kalimutan ha, importante. Pag ang mataas ay urine urobilinogen, pre-hepatic yan. Or maybe hepatic. Do you understand? Next slide, please. Now, I already mentioned these two reactions associated with bilirubin. You must recall them. You must memorize them. You know, when in the board exam, lagi na yung tinatanong, Ehrlich and van der Burch. Reaction between bilirubin and diacetylsulfanidic acid. The two popular tests are the Evelyn Malloy and Jendrosik graph. In the final exam, I will be listing down all the tests in clinical chemistry, and you need to relate them to identify the analyte that the test detects or measures. Okay, next slide. So next slide shows comparison ng Evelyn Malloy with Jendrosik graph. Pakibalik, ayan. So please take note of the comparison. Ang importanteng tandaan dyan, yung dissociating agent. Alright, Evelyn Malloy needs alcohol, 50% alcohol to separate the albumin from B1. While in Jendrosik graph, it's capain sodium benzoate. Okay, so and color din, tandaan nyo, at saka yung if they are affected by hemolysis. Okay, so the Jendrosik graph is better test because it is not affected by hemolysis. Since the wavelength that it requires for reading the analyte is far from the wavelength of hemoglobin, yung optima, wavelength optima for hemoglobin. Next, please. All right. So between B1 and B2, we look at the value, no? Ang B2 mo ay mas kaunti sa dugo. Siyempre, ang unang bilirubin na nasa blood ay B1, kaya siya yung higher. Na bakit ang B2 mababa? Nagsisiro pa nga yan eh. Kasi siya yung dumaan na sa liver at nasa ano na yan, pwede mo nang i-excrete yan sa urine. Alright? B1 plus B2, concentration of B1 plus B2 in the blood equals total bilirubin. And then you have the conversion factor. Tandaan niyo yan, lumalabas yan sa exam. Alright? So if you like to convert micromole per liter to milligram per deciliter, the conversion factor for bilirubin is 17.21. 17.21. All right, next slide, please. Next slide. All right. Now we go to some, balikan mo yung Gilbert's. Balikan ulit. Gilbert's. Gilbert syndrome, all right, is a common one. May mga tanong din sa board exam tungkol sa mga sakit na yan. No, may tinatanong din yan eh. Pag sinabing Gilbert, this is a kind of unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia. Kasi ang mataas dito ay B1. Alright, so this is common and this is as a result of impaired cellular uptake of bilirubin. Ibig sabihin, si bilirubin 1 hindi makapasok sa liver. And so bilirubin 1 remains in the blood and accumulates there in high amount. Kaya hyperbilirubinemia siya na yung indirect bilirubin type. Okay? Gilbert, mild lang yan. Next. Yung isa, Crigler-Najjar. Go to the next. Ito yung serious. Crigler-Najjar. Okay, the serious type of abnormality involving the bilirubin, no? Ito ay due to a deficiency, due to deficiency of glucuronil transferase enzyme. Sabi natin kanina, the neonate blocks glucuronil transferase. It takes time, no, for them to develop the enzyme. Like only mature liver can develop this enzyme or produce this enzyme. So, ano itsura ng bata? Eh di parang may physiologic jaundice yan. Sobrang dilaw ng bata because the B1 remains as B1. So, mataas ang B1, mababa ang B2 in case of Crigler-Najjar. Next. Yung dalawang nasabi natin kanina, Crigler-Najjar and Gilbert, they are examples of conditions categorized as unconjugated hyperbilirubinemia. Kaya siya madilaw kasi sa unconjugated bilirubin mataas. Now we go to the conjugated hyperbilirubinemia. Madilaw ang pasyente, not because of B1 found in excess, but it's more of the B2. Ang mataas dito, B2. Alright? Now, examples of diseases, now where you have high B2, we have Dubin-Johnson and Rotor syndrome. All right? So this is due to defective excretion of B2 by the liver cell. Hindi lumalabas ang B2 papunta sa urine. Andun lang siya sa liver nakakonfine. All right? This is also a hereditary condition. Next, please. Also a hereditary condition. All right. Now, of course, I mentioned to you the ammonia. This is a liver function test. Ammonia is not a kidney function test. Increased ammonia is toxic to the brain, as I told you. Kaya pwedeng magkaroon ng hepatic coma. Toxic sa liver, toxic din sa brain. Kaya hepatic coma. Now, one significance of increased ammonia is in the condition called Ray's syndrome. Ray's syndrome. Very high level of ammonia, mataas din ng SGPT, which is an enzyme produced by the liver. SGPT in excess amount in the blood, serum or plasma, it suggests direct liver cell injury. It suggests direct liver cell injury. All right? The method for ammonia determinations are, so you have glutamate dehydrogenase. No? This one is the method. I'm sorry. One method lang to. Here you have the substrate 2-oxoglutarate. So in the presence of ammonia in the plasma or serum, the 2-oxoglutarate, all right, is, ano nangyayari sa kanya? Okay, this is yung NADPH mo ay na-oxidize. Therefore, si oxoglutarate ay na-reduce to glutamate. Look at the coenzyme, NADPH. That is a reduced nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. Alright? In the presence of the glutamate dehydrogenase, NADPH, which is a reduced coenzyme, this one becomes oxidized. So while NADPDH is oxidized, the 2-oxoglutarate is reduced. Okay? So here we expect a decrease in absorbance at 340 nanometer because the product being measured here is an NADP. Okay? Kapag D ang dulo or this time may D doon, sabihin decrease absorbance at 340 nanometer. Okay, next please. Next slide please. Wala na ba? Huli na yan. Okay, pwede bang pakiproject mo uli yung kidney function? Meron na lang akong tatapusin doon and then you will have the quiz tomorrow. Okay, class. So, ulitin ko ha. If you can come at 15 minutes before the time, 10 o'clock. Kasi magsisettle pa kayo sa classroom natin bukas. Pwede ba, class, na please come on time? Kasi kapag tuntong na ng ano yan, ng madali lang ang exam nyo, 30 minutes lang yan eh. Alright? If you don't come on time, at nakalabas na ako ng kwarto, hindi na kayo makakatake ng exam. Strictly, we will strictly observe the, the, the schedule of the class ng 10 o'clock, schedule of the exam. Okay? At 10 a.m. start na ng long exam ninyo. Alright? So, mga 30 minutes lang yan. Immediately after that, magre-rush na ako papunta ng CEU Makati. Okay? So, hindi na kayo makakatake ng exam. I won't allow you to take any more than the special exam. Okay? So, please come on time. Paki-project naman uli yung pwede bang paki-project uli yung kidney function? I think I stopped doon sa uric acid at saka creatinine. Am I correct, Kate? Alright. Pwede ba lang paki-project na yung creatinine muna? So, creatinine is the end product of muscle catabolism. When muscle is catabolized, the creatine in the muscle, which is usually bound to a phosphate, it now becomes creatinine. Alright, so creatine is the precursor of creatinine. The conversion of creatine to creatinine happens in the muscle. Creatinine is the anhydride of creatine. So, the creatine, on the other hand, is a nitrogenous compound which is produced in saan galing ang creatine? In the liver. From the liver, si creatine pupunta sa muscle. In the muscle, it will be bound to phosphate so that it becomes a high energy compound. Kaya kailangan ng creatine pag nagbubuhat, nag-lift ka ng weight. Kailangan mo ng creatine nakadikit sa phosphate dapat yan para may energy kayo for muscular activities, strenuous exercise. When you lift a weight, when you run, and when you do strenuous activities, now the band between phosphate and creatine is broken, and that releases so much energy. So that allows you to do the activities that demand energy. No? Now, from the muscle, nandun si creatinine, it goes then to the kidney where it is excreted. Creatinine is freely filtered by the glomeruli. It is neither reabsorbed nor secreted. In other words, lahat ng creatinine sa muscle, lahat yan i-excrete ng kidney in the urine. Alright? So, ulitin natin ha. Creatinine is freely filtered, neither secreted nor reabsorbed in the kidney tubule. Alright? Hindi siya nare-reabsorb, hindi sinisecrete, hindi rin sinifilter, completely filtered rather by the glomeruli. Alright? Hindi kamukha ng urea. Urea is freely filtered. Napi-filter yan sa dugo. But this is partially reabsorbed. Kaya may urea na bumabalik sa dugo depending on the flow of blood in the tubule. If the flow of blood in the tubule is slow, slow renal blood flow, there would be more time for urea to be reabsorbed back to the blood. Kaya tumataas ang urea sa dugo kapag may shock, may hypotension, no? Kapag may blood loss, mabagal ang daloy ng dugo sa kidney, so mas maraming urea ang bumabalik sa dugo. Alright? Mas maraming contact time for urea to reabsorb back to the blood. Kaya yun yung prerenal hyperuremia. Naalala niyo yung kwento ko. Diba? So, tataas ang urea mo doon, pero ang creatinine mo pwedeng normal ka doon. So, therefore, you have a high urea-creatinine ratio. Usually, the urea-creatinine ratio is 10:1. When you exceeded that, ayan na, nagkakaroon ka na ng greater than 10:1 creatinine, urea-creatinine ratio, isa na up to 20:1, ang tawag doon ay prerenal hyperuremia. Now, pagka naman post-renal, ang mataas mo creatinine in the plasma, pwedeng normal ang urea mo. Alright? And in that case, low urea-creatinine ratio ka, less than 10:1. But if both your urea and creatinine are increased in the plasma or serum, syempre ang urea-creatinine ratio mo magno-normal yan. No? Kasi tataas ang urea, tataas ang creatinine, pag kinuha mo yung ratio nila, pwedeng normal pa rin yan. Alright, na 10:1. Okay? So that's for the renal hyperuremia. Let me summarize again. There are 3 types of hyperuremia. Balikan ko lang yung hyperuremia. Prerenal, renal, and postrenal. Prerenal, walang problema sa kidney mo. Ang mataas na urea ay walang kinalaman ang kidney mo. Kaya mataas ang urea sa dugo kasi ay mabagal ang low blood volume going to the kidney. Slow blood flow. Mabagal. As seen in stroke. As seen in shock. Sorry. As seen in shock. As seen in hypotension. As seen in a blood loss, excessive blood loss. Mabagal ang punta ng dugo sa kidney. And as a result, mabilis bumabalik. More time for urea to go back to the blood. Kaya hyperuremia. So there will be increased serum plasma urea, normal serum plasma creatinine. So the ratio of urea to creatinine exceeded 20:1 ratio, which is ang normal dapat nasa 20:1 lang. Tapos, kapag yan naman ay post-renal hyperuremia, ang mas mo dyan serum plasma creatinine, normal ang serum urea mo. So, decrease urea creatinine ratio agad. Now, in renal hyperuremia, mataas sabay ang urea at creatinine in the plasma or serum. So, pwedeng normal ang urea creatinine ratio mo. Okay? Now, balik tayo sa creatinine. Creatinine is a measure of muscle activity. So, usually, pag nandang siya, mas gusto minomonitor ng doktor ang creatinine kesa sa urea. Okay? Usually, it goes with the age. Kapag tumatanda, unti na nasisira ang kidney, kaya tumataas na ang creatinine. Okay? It goes with the age. Now, for creatinine assay, you have the phase test. Jaffé is the reaction between creatinine and alkaline picrate solution. Creatinine and alkaline picrate solution. Check ko yung PowerPoint. The reaction between creatinine and alkaline picrate solution is Jaffé reaction. The problem in Jaffé is that it measures not just creatinine. Other substances in the serum or in the plasma may also be, reactive to the, to the reagent in Jaffé. Okay, alkaline picrate solution, alkaline picrate solution. So it's picric acid plus sodium hydroxide. Picric acid plus sodium hydroxide equals alkaline picrate solution. Now, the alkaline picrate, whenever you do the
creatinine assay following Jaffe, this has to be, the alkaline picrate has to be freshly prepared. Hindi mo po pwede yung matagal ng stock solution na piniprepare. Kasi when you do that, the creatinine picrate, no, will now be converted to picramic acid. And that will not be conclusive for creatinine. Erroneous result yan. Now, in order to increase the specificity of Jaffe test, Lloyd used aluminum silicate. The aluminum silicate will remove the non-creatinine interfering chemicals in the serum or plasma, so that what remains in the serum or plasma will be creatinine na lang. Nawala na yung mga interfering chemicals. So now the creatinine pure reacts with the alkaline picric acid, okay, to produce the yellow, orange, or tinatawag nila ng red tautomer. Red tautomer ang description diyan sa encolor ng Jaffe. Red tautomer. It ranges from the yellow to orange or yellow, red-orange color for Jaffe. Now, for the uric acid, just remember that this is the end product of purine catabolism. End product of purine catabolism. Ano ba ang purine? These are your adenine and guanine. Adenine and guanine. Diba ang DNA composed of, ano nga ang composition ng DNA, Roxy? What are the three components of DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid. Roxy? Roxy, what are the components of the DNA? Di ba purine, base, bases, nitrogenous base, sugar, yun yung deoxyribose, and phosphate. Pag sinabi mong nitrogenous base, ito yung purine or pyrimidine base. Purine includes adenine and guanine. Ang cytosine at thymine ay mga pyrimidine bases siya. So, in uric acid, galing siya, ito, sa uric acid, galing yan kay purine bases. Ito yung adenine guanine, when catabolized, they become uric acid. They become uric acid, okay? So, uric acid is not a very good kidney function test, although it can be used to assess kidney failure. Pero ang pinakamaganda pa rin na test for kidney disease, the first one to increase in the blood is urea, followed by creatinine. The uric acid clinical significance is more on gouty arthritis. So significance of uric acid is gouty arthritis. Okay? Now, maraming klase ng arthritis, hindi lang gouty arthritis. But this type of arthritis is due to increased uric acid in serum or plasma. Alright, dapat ang uric acid ay mababa lang sa blood. When the uric acid level in the blood reaches more than 10 milligram per deciliter, wala, delikado na stop yan. Ano yan, kailangan i-address ka agad ng doktor yan. When the uric acid level in the blood would reach as high as 10 milligram per deciliter, aba stop yan. Kailangan ng ano yan, i-run ka agad yan, no? At gawa ng solusyon ka agad yan ng doktor. Because if that happens, the uric acid crystallizes. And that would now may cause stone in the kidney. Magkukos siya ng stone in the kidney or nephrolithiasis. The condition is nephrolithiasis. Alright? Now, in the uric acid determination, usually, ano yan, based on the reduction pa rin principle. No, there are many tests for uric acid like Caraway, Archibald, Henry, yan yung mga common tests, no, for uric acid. So it's based on reduction. Why? What causes reduction? The answer, uric acid. Uric acid is a very good reducing agent. It can reduce, no, the reagent in uric acid determination. All right? It can reduce that into a product which can be measured in the spectrophotometer. Now, today we use the enzymatic test to measure uric acid in the blood. Like, pwede mo tong gawin ng HPLC, no? Pwede mo rin gawin na colorimetric enzymatic. And the enzyme is the uricase. Uricase acts on uric acid to produce allantoin. Allantoin. Uric acid, no, has maximum absorbance at 293 nanometer. So kapag yan ay uric acid pa lang, may absorbance na magre-register sa spectrum. Pero pag dinagdag mo na yung uricase enzyme, mawawala na si uric acid. Magiging allantoin. Si allantoin, walang absorbance yan sa 293. So bababa ang absorbance mo. From high absorbance, upon addition of uricase, the absorbance decreased. Okay, that's the principle. Reduction in the absorbance. Predict. Bababa. When uric acid is converted to allantoin. So that's the enzymatic method. Alright? Pansinin niyo ang mga normal values, mataas ang normal value ng uric acid ng mga males than the females. Okay, sabi, alcohol prevents urinary excretion of uric acid. So, dapat si uric acid, tumatapon niya sa ihi, tinatapon sa katawan. Kasi yan ay waste product. But here, what happened when a man, no, is a drunkard, ang hilig uminom ng alcoholic siya. So, yung alcohol, imbis na itapon ang uric acid as metabolite, waste product, ay lalo lang siyang mag-accumulate in the body. Maybe in the kidney as stone, or in the joint as tophi, TOPHI, later on magki-crystallize. Okay? Class, naintindihan niyo ba ako? Alright, that's the end of our discussion. So tomorrow, tapos na natin ang kidney function test. Tapos na rin natin ang liver function simula sa bilirubin lang. Although there's another liver function that we need to discuss pa, and that is the total protein and the albumin. Binigyan ko kayo ng PowerPoint on total protein. Alright? But your quiz tomorrow, your long exam tomorrow will be the entire kidney function and bilirubin. May tanong? May tanong po ba? Wala. I will give the long exam at exactly 10 a.m. Okay? Dapat naka-arrange na kayo pagpasok ko. Hindi yun dun pa lang tayo mag-a-arrange. Prepare one half lengthwise as you come tomorrow. Yung mga mauuna, i-occupy na kaagad yung upuan, i-arrange na kaagad, at make sure na there is enough distance or space between chairs so that cheating is avoided. Okay, so sige, class, thank you very much for patiently attending this makeup class. Maraming salamat sa inyo. Those who recited in today's um, meeting, no, please call my attention during the exam tomorrow. Doon ko na lang siya ipa-plus sa inyong papel. Okay? Please be honest, class. I know naman I can recall who recited or not. Please, okay? Tell me tomorrow para maidadagdag dun sa score ninyo. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.